For years, the French Republic told itself it had survived. The king was gone. The old regime was shattered. France was officially free. But republics don't die the moment a crown appears. They die earlier, quietly, and the French Republic crossed that line long before Napoleon crowned himself emperor. Because the most important moment wasn't the coronation. It was the moment France stopped believing the Republic could protect it. That was the day it truly died. After the French Revolution, France was exhausted. A decade of upheaval followed the fall of the monarchy. Executions, economic collapse, foreign invasions, civil war. The revolution had promised liberty and equality. What it delivered was instability. Governments rose and fell with alarming speed. Constitutions were rewritten again and again. Each new system promised balance. Each one collapsed under pressure. By the late 1790s, most French citizens weren't demanding more freedom. They were demanding relief. Relief from chaos. Relief from uncertainty. Relief from constant political crisis. And that shift mattered more than any ideology. Because when people stop asking for liberty and start asking for order, republics enter dangerous territory. The republic that emerged from the revolution was fragile by design. Power was deliberately fragmented. Executives were weak. Legislatures were divided. Terms were short. The system was built to prevent tyranny, but it was also built on fear. No institution trusted the others. No branch was strong enough to govern decisively. France was still at war with much of Europe. The economy remained unstable, and political life became defined by emergency. Coups stopped being shocking. They became expected. Elections were manipulated to prevent dangerous outcomes. Laws were bent in the name of stability. The republic still existed, but it barely functioned. And when systems stopped functioning, people stopped defending them. Into this environment stepped a general who seemed to offer something no politician could: competence. Napoleon Bonaparte didn't rise because France loved him. He rose because France was tired. Tired of weak governments. Tired of paralysis. Tired of constant fear that tomorrow would be worse than today. Napoleon had won victories abroad. He had the loyalty of soldiers. And most importantly, he appeared decisive. That mattered more than principles. By 1799, the Republic faced another crisis. The government was deadlocked. Public confidence was gone. And behind closed doors, many leaders reached the same conclusion. The Republic, as it existed, could not survive. So they made a choice that republics throughout history have made under pressure. They handed power to a man who promised to fix the system. The coup that followed was quiet. There were no mass executions, no dramatic speeches declaring the republic dead, no public acknowledgement that anything fundamental had changed. Instead, the Constitution was rewritten. The old government was dissolved. A new structure replaced it. On paper, France was still a republic. There were assemblies, there were laws, there were elections, but real power now flowed in only one direction, toward the first consul, Napoleon. This was the moment the French Republic quietly died. Because from this point forward, losing politically no longer mattered. Napoleon controlled the army. He controlled the administration. He controlled appointments, enforcement, and information. Opposition still existed, but it had no leverage. The Republic had not been overthrown. It had been hollowed out. If you're enjoying this kind of history, the kind that explains how systems fail instead of just who wins, subscribe to the channel. This series looks at the moments when republics stop functioning long before anyone admits they're gone. Because what happens next always follows the same pattern. Napoleon did not immediately declare himself dictator. That would have created resistance. Instead, he ruled through legality. Plebiscites were held. Votes were counted. The public was asked to approve changes after those changes were already in place. On paper, the people agreed. In reality, there was no meaningful alternative. The state was now organized around one man. Institutions still existed, but they no longer restrained power. They justified it. This is the most dangerous phase in a republic's collapse, when forms survive but substance disappears. Most people did not resist this transformation. Many welcomed it. Napoleon brought stability. The currency stabilized. Administration became efficient. France began to function again, and that success changed how legitimacy was understood. Power no longer came from representation. It came from results. If the government worked, it was justified. If it failed, it would be replaced. This logic feels reasonable. It is also fatal, because once performance replaces principle, there is no reason to limit power. Emergency measures stop being temporary. Surveillance becomes normal. Censorship becomes routine. Opposition doesn't vanish overnight. It is slowly managed, sidelined, and neutralized. Often bureaucratically, Napoleon didn't need terror, he had acceptance. By the time he crowned himself emperor in 1804, nothing fundamental changed. The Republic had already been gone for years. The crown simply made the truth visible. This is why focusing on the coronation misses the point. The empire didn't kill the Republic. The Republic killed itself when it decided that stability mattered more than participation. When fear of chaos justified permanent concentration of power, this is not unique to France. Rome followed the same path. So have other republics throughout history. Instability exhausts societies. Eventually, people stop asking who has the right to rule. They ask who can rule effectively. That is the moment republics lose their soul. The tragedy of the French Republic is not that it fell to a strong man. It is that most people accepted the transition willingly. Because by then, the alternative felt worse. Chaos seemed more dangerous than control. This is how republics really die. Not with a dramatic overthrow, but when citizens stop believing the system can protect them, when institutions exist but no longer matter, when power becomes personal again. If this changed how you see the French Revolution and Napoleon, like the video. Subscribe for the rest of this series on how republics collapse quietly, long before crowns and emperors appear. And comment below, do you think the French Republic could have survived, or was the rise of Napoleon inevitable once chaos became normal? Because history doesn't end when a republic falls. It ends when people stop believing it's worth saving.